Have you ever gone to a park, maybe with your kids or just to take a stroll through the beautiful scenery? Maybe you breathed in the clean air and just appreciated the great beauty that God had provided for you to enjoy. But as you walk along, you run into a piece of litter, maybe something kind of like this. Maybe it was a candy wrapper or a soda can, and you reach over and you pick it up and you put it in the garbage. And in a small way, it feels good to make even a little difference by doing something like that. Perhaps that's been you, and at times, that's been me. But let me just say that it's been at times. Because sometimes when I see litter, I'm just indifferent to it. And before you look down on me, before you bash me, all right, you know you've done it too. Now, why have you become indifferent? I think it's because we have either seen so much of it that it seems like to pick up just one piece really makes no difference. Or maybe it's just you're lazy, right? Sometimes you don't feel like bending over and picking it up, and so you just leave it. Or I don't know, maybe you just don't feel like doing it in that moment. Maybe you think somebody else will do it. It might seem weird, but this is what happens in churches that are indifferent. In Revelation chapter 2 and 3, we meet 7 churches which really represent all of us. Each of the churches have their issues, and most of them have strengths. But it seems the biggest issue almost every church in the list deals with is being indifferent. Now, unfortunately, being indifferent is not just a church issue, it's an individual issue too. Looking through the list of churches, we see some who don't love Jesus like they used to, and others, well, they just don't know how to admit and live up to their mistakes. And some are lax, and they don't check their teaching and people out, while some are more of a social club that are neither dangerous nor desirable to be a part of. Really, the indifference has led to an inability to look at themselves honestly. And when we look at these 2 chapters, Revelation 2 and 3, we have to remember that this is Jesus. Yeah, it's Jesus speaking to the churches, and what strikes me is that while these churches have problems, some of them with some really big problems, he still loves them and is trying to guide them toward what is best, which is a vibrant relationship with the Messiah, with Jesus, with himself. So how about you? Would you say that you've become indifferent in your walk with Jesus? Maybe Jesus has become a friend but not a master. Maybe you don't compare yourself to Jesus anymore and realize the sin in your life that, well, it really needs to be repented of. Or perhaps you're being led astray by teaching and people that marginalize and minimize Jesus. Would people say that you have a dangerous or desirable faith, or one that looks a lot like everyone else? Have you lost the ability to honestly assess yourself? Jesus is calling you to just do that, to look at where you are and where you could be, to let him unleash in you the potential that is being held captive by your indifference. Finding victory over indifference is not really about just getting out there and doing something. A lot of people do that and are still indifferent. No, overcoming indifference is getting out there and doing something for Jesus Christ. Not only impacting today, but eternity. So don't let indifference be a cancer that eats away at your relationship with Jesus. Instead, unleash the power and strength of God in your life and see what kinds of victories you can have too.